Hello, everyone. Kim here, Abundant Life Tarot. I'm super excited to have my friend Donna from Artists and Oracles, and we are back. We had a series we started called Artistry, Cartomancy. I like to lovingly call it AOC. Um, and so we're getting back to it. And one of the topics we want to really dig into is the ritual of reading for others. And Donna, I know, has some beautiful insights to share with us about this topic. This was something that also was born out of when we all last met up for our last discussion. I was like, oh, we really need to kind of break this whole process down for those who are called to read for others. What is our ritual? What does that process look like for the individual reader and also collectively? What are some trends that we see? So I am so excited and honored to have Donna here with me today. Donna, welcome to
Oh,
the
thank you
channel.
so much. I am always excited and honored to be with you, my dear. So,
Yay, I'm so
woo,
happy you're here. Yes. And
I'm
Donna,
here.
I want you to share about like anything, your introduction. I can not speak enough about the brilliance of Donna. Like, she's amazing and she has a background that is steeped with insights, on this topic. So you have the floor, my friend. Share what you feel called to share.
Oh my goodness. So where do I go with that? Thank you so much. Well,
You're
I've
welcome.
been around for a while. Not so much tarot tube, although I've been on tarot tube, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, I guess already.
Hmm.
But I've been doing the spiritual things. I've been on the path for it's going on 30 years now, I think.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah. Back in the 90s. I really got started back in the early 90s.
Ah,
Yeah.
nostalgia. Yes.
Nostalgia. Gen X
Mm.
nostalgia kicking in.
Yeah, right? That's us. I'm like,
That's us. So,
yeah.
what should I share that's relevant to today? I think kind of what I'll draw on most for today is my feng shui and space clearing background. So for a long time, that was my primary identity, my
Hmm.
primary path, career. And I studied instinctive feng shui, interior alignment, and sacred space clearing with the world-renowned Denise Lin, who many of us know and love, and several of her master teachers that she trained herself. Um, and so that is so with me in everything that I do because I learned from her about sacred space. To me,
Yeah.
she is the one who coined the phrase sacred space because she wrote that book called Sacred Space, which is right behind me on my bookshelf. And that was my entry point. That was the book that changed it all for me. That I was like,
Hmm.
whoa, this is a thing and people do this and how do I get on that train? And that
Hmm.
started it all.
Hmm.
Um, so I always bring that's just hardwired into me. And that's what I bring to my tarot table every time.
Hmm.
And what struck me most kind of sitting with our topic for today and our talking points here, Kim, was that um, it starts with me and like how I pull cards for me. Like
Yes.
the space has to be sacred every time. I mean, I'm not saying I don't sit up in the bed and pull cards because, like,
Yeah. Or the New
that's
York subway train.
or
Yes.
wherever because
Yeah.
cards are usually with me somewhere.
Yeah.
But if I'm really serious and I'm sitting down and I want to commune with my guides and I want I want some insight, I need some help. I start with the space. I usually come in here. This is my office where I am
Hmm.
here, and sit at my desk. And even if things are a little bit messy, which they often are, because life is messy, right, for all of us, just clear the piles back, clear some space. I have a little it's like kind of tied down. I can't hold it up to you. You see a corner of it? No, this is my
Let me
mat.
see.
Oh,
Oh,
here, maybe I can just let me put my
Matt.
camera down for a second.
Yeah. Let's
My
see
reading
it.
mat, and I have it. I'm looking for trouble now. I'm messing. Here's my reading mat, and I just sort of it's like right in front of me, and I often just sort of roll it up like this, and I cover
Mm-hmm.
my little altar with crystals because I have to do work here. I have to pay bills. I have to like, but it's sort of
Multi-use. Mm-hmm.
multi-use space, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's preset so that when I want to sit down, I fold it out and I have a candle, and and it all starts right there for me. So
Love that.
anyway, I don't know if that was an intro or a
Oh, it's
tangent or what that was, but that's
that's
what
okay, friend. That's what we want because the sacred space is what we make of it. I remember when I first started getting into cards and cartomancy and where I was at back in, I think when I was wanting to read for others back in 2016, 2017 in my living space was totally like triple, okay, it's the living room slash the place where my kids like came home and talked about their homework or the homework they didn't do. It was where I paid bills. It also for a temporary time where I worked from home for my employer. It was, but I had to make sure I had sacred space and ritual surrounding my reading process. And it doesn't have to be, I recall it wasn't fancy or formal, but it was consistent. Like, okay, we have my go-to crystal, our crystals. I have my go-to what I want to lay out for the cards. And that was like grounding for me. Grounding for me as a new reader for people, like it's one thing to read for ourselves. You could really, like I said, you could bust out your cards in your bed. I'm raising my hand. I am that one who has cards in my bed and I have cards on the couch. Cards. If I was in the California on the, what they don't call it a subway, it's like a BART. It's a train system, but it's like the subway system in New York. It would be that cards everywhere. But when I want to read for others, I also want to bring my best self forward. And I was able to create sacred space anywhere in my house, especially when I lived in small spaces. Now I have a designated office for it, but there was a long time I didn't have a sacred space where I was doing professional reading. So I want to encourage people that even if you don't have a designated room, you can carve out sacred space for your practice of reading for yourself or reading for others. What do you think about that?
I think that I totally agree, and
Mm-hmm.
I agree that it's really important. And I heard you say consistency. So like that could be a really fun little place for us to start. Like how do we get consistency? Because there's a bunch of ways to do that.
Mm-hmm. True.
And you know, like for a long time I think I was all about like all the tools. It's nice to have all the tools, right? For anything. The bells and the
Mm-hmm.
whistles and the nice crystals and a bunch of decks, and but that is not what brings, I mean, that helps, but that's not really what creates sacred space. It's linking up, right? It's making the connection. It's sitting down. For me, I'll just say for me. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm realizing here. Like, I sit down, but I have to, there's like I have to really drop into my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to find a real sense of like humbleness and clarity,
Yes.
and just say like, okay, I'm like, I'm linking up
Yeah.
here. I'm asking for help, and I often do it ahead of time if I'm going to read for someone. I'm tuning in, and if whatever, the start of my day or an hour before,
Mm-hmm.
because I get the energies flowing. I don't just come like whizzing in the door and plop down and whistle. That's not
Yeah.
me. That's just not. It's not. I have too
That
much
might be
Virgo.
somebody else,
Yeah,
yes, but not
it's
us.
all my Virgo. I gotta have all my ducks in a row. But it gets the energy going. It really get like
Mhm.
today. I've been preparing since we're talking about sacred space. I was like, well, I better get my butt in my office a little bit early here and like make sure I like how everything looks and feels. And plus, it's a new office since the last time I sat with Kim, because I had a
Mhm.
big move. So
Yes.
playing with all of that, setting up the space. But
Yes.
to get the consistency, I just want to say to folks, like, don't get too hung up on, like, I have the best new deck, or, like, crystals, they could play hide and seek, they come and they go, right? Like,
My pyrite is missing right now. Like, where are you? I thought you
right?
were
They're
around
just, they
here.
go on walkabout, they're like, yeah, no, I don't want to wear it now. So if
Yeah,
you put too much into, like, oh, like that crystal's what brings it for me every time. Well, careful, I don't know. It may it might leave you. And then
mm,
what are you left with? You're left with your own physical body, your embodiment, your ability to connect with spirit. No
mm-hmm.
matter where you are, what's in front of you, how many things are in your mind, how much stress you're dealing with, what's going on in the world right now, pretty
True,
challenging for everybody, day
for
after
sure,
day.
for
But
sure.
where are you going to go? Where are you going to start? You
Yeah,
got to drop into your heart, get quiet, get
yeah,
humble,
yeah,
ask for help, you
yeah.
know?
And ask for help. And that will be a lovely segue for setting intention. So I see that we have here, hold on one second. I feel I hear out noise. I gotta tell my family to hush.
Oh, and Kim's reminding me, when she comes back, I'm going to grab my iPad so that I can watch the chat
For
because,
sure, you can grab it. And I'm gonna
yeah,
be
it's right
saying hello
behind
to
me.
our peeps. Yeah, this is easy breezy. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you also
I'll be
touched
right
on
back.
something. Yeah, go ahead. And I'll just chat with the peeps and welcome them in. I appreciate you all being here. I am a California native, born and raised. I just gotta say a moment of my heart goes out to my peeps, my family, my friends in California. Most of my peeps are in Northern California, but I do have some in Southern California, and I have been on pins and needles watching the burning that's happening. And it's shocking for me, but it's not surprising. Being born and raised there, we have something called fire season. It's, you know how you have the 4 seasons. California has its own little extra season called fire season, but now it seems it's all seasons long. It used to just be summer and maybe autumn, and now we're in winter, and this catastrophic fire has happened. So even amidst that, I had a client last night who was evacuated and had to get an Airbnb somewhere. And I had to be like, okay, I'm ready to hold space for this person, for this client. And that's what it is in real time, in real life, delivering readings. And they still are asking about their relationship, their marriage in the midst of all the chaos. So
Mhm.
I like to hold sacred space for them, no matter what they bring to me in their reading requests. Mari, hello. Welcome. Happy New Year to you. Thank you for being here. Jadak, I like your name. I
Hey,
hope I'm
JD.
pronouncing that right. All right, Donna, my other Donna. Hello, welcome.
Hey, Donna R.
Yes, Donna R. Got Madonna here with Artists and Oracles. Y'all check out her channel. We are resuming. This is also a catch-up session. Donna has a channel, Artists and Oracles. So please subscribe, check her out. She's getting in the swing of things. She's had a lot of immense transformation happening last year, but we're back in the swing of things this year. Hey, Tony, welcome. Welcome, 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 peeps. Let's see. Donna says, oh, it's so horrible what's happening there. I used to have family in the Los Angeles area, but thankfully they relocated to elsewhere in the US a few years ago. And me, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, my family's all in Northern California. And then I see, you know how on Facebook it says mark safe. They say, you mark safe if you're in a
Mhm.
situation. And so many like childhood friends and friends from like real friends I've traveled with out of the country with, and they're like, "Oh, I'm Mark Safe." I'm like, I forgot you live there. And so I was like, "Oh, okay, I do. I am invested in like what's going on. I'm totally invested. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I thought,
it's
oh
your
my
home
family,
state. That's your home
yeah,
state. Yeah.
It's I couldn't even sleep really last night. And then what was crazy was like a few days back I get still news alerts even though I'm in the DR. I get news alerts because I'm just linked to them, like the local news. And so there was a wind high advisory. We get them every Santa Ana winds. They touch on many parts of California. And my first instinct was that's not good. And I know about the dry conditions. I have a feeling we're going to have a real episode with fire. And I'm getting goosebumps now and I'm sad about it. And there's loss of life. And it's devastating. It's
Right.
devastating. Hello, Protect My Energy, AAC. I remember your frustrations when you were living in Cali. Do you? You've been with me for a minute. You know, because I had a little episode when the Paradise Fires was happening. A lot of death there. And I could barely breathe. And I don't even have allergies or asthma. I could barely breathe. So you can imagine our people who can't breathe on the normal. Thank you for being here. A joyful journey. Welcome. Jared, welcome.
Hey,
Okay.
Dash, how are you?
Hey, all right. So we got through our intros. So we're
Yeah.
talking about sacred space. Is there any other things that before we move into our other bits about offering readings for others or rituals in chat? Also, I want you to think about, slow down for a moment, whether you get readings from others or you offer readings for others. Think about your processes, your rituals, or that what you've witnessed from others that you like, or maybe you don't like. Share in the chat because I want to hear from you on that as well. So, Donna, is there any other things you want to speak on about sacred space?
Yeah, you know what's just coming to me right now, hearing you talk about California, which is, it's been on my mind too. Because some of the tarot tubers that I follow are there and really concerned. And I'm hearing improv, like these times that we're in, these are some very intense times, right? We all know this. And like we just have to be. I'm a theater girl. I'm an old theater girl. That's part of my background too. So my degree's in theater, and for a long time I did a bunch of shows and when you're when it's just life or theater, whatever you want to call it, like it's live. This is happening now. Kim and we're sitting here live. We have a little sense of where we're going, but we don't, it's not scripted. you know we're tuning
Yeah.
into each other. I'm trying to listen, she's listening to her guides. We're trying to see, like, where should we go, where do we need to go today. And I'm hearing improv. I'm hearing that, like, we all need to be ready to just go with the flow. And that goes for your reading, whether you sit down to read for yourself on any given
Mhm.
day, how, if you're working with clients. We have to just take it as it comes. And fact, there's so much to factor in on any given day. Like
Mhm.
your client. I was so struck by, you said your client last night evacuated in his,
Mhm.
wherever he was, Airbnb, in the
Yeah.
in the thick of it, and still needed a reading, needed help, reached out. But, like, I'm sure that must have been a big part of your reading, right? You didn't just be like, oh, you're evacuated, okay, whatever.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, your hair is brown and you're 5'2", okay, well, let's throw some cards. Like,
Let's get
that
into it. Yeah.
that's improv. Like, in that
Yeah.
moment, that becomes everything. Oh, I'm talking to a fellow Californian. Oh my gosh, you're in the path of the fires, you're evacuated. you
Hmm.
know like,
And life
that's what
don't
you need
stop.
to.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
just, I'm just so aware of that kind of every day. Like, where's it going, where's the energy taking me, what's happening now.
Hmm.
Being
Where
able
is
to be
he?
flexible and able to go with that.
Exactly. Because here I am thinking, because she sent me a message. She was like, "Are you available right now?" And I knew where she was, so I knew, like, I was like, "Oh wow, maybe she's going to be asking me about what's going on with the catastrophe and blah blah blah." Nope. She was. I had to be flexible. She was like, "Ah, can you believe my husband? He wanted to go play pool, shoot pool with his friends right now, and I'm going crazy about this situation. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm glad y'all safe. Yay. Woo. Flexible, sacred space. Cool. And then I remembered my first hurricane here. And my husband was hanging out with friends and just enamored with the winds because his is his first hurricane too. And I'm freaking out. And so I was able to call back to that experience and share that with her. And it brought her comfort. I'm like, y'all gonna be okay. You're in a safe space. You're evacuated. And I got you. I took, pictures of her cards that we, discussed, sent it to her, and yeah, she's good. But yeah, I was thinking, oh, when I got ready to go into the reading, surely she's going to be talking about what's going to happen with our place and blah, blah, blah. No, she's frustrated with her partner about going to shoot pool with the boys. And I was like, okay, we could go there too. Let's go there too. So, yeah.
What an example of like what's asked of us every time we read for somebody is to just, because we're human as readers, we have what is it, preconceived whatever, we're thinking like, I think I know where this is going. I think especially if it's somebody you've read for before, you have a relationship with a client, you think, oh, okay, I'm pretty sure I know what they're bringing to. No, you never know what anybody's bringing to the table on any given day. And for me, it's a real test of like, how Buddhist can I be, basically? How
Yeah,
in the present moment, how much in the now can I
yeah,
be in my heart, letting go of,
yeah.
whatever my bias is, or, it's like,
Mhm.
okay, this is what's
That's
being asked. Now, it doesn't mean that sometimes you have to be the voice of reason,
right,
just be a little bit like, well, maybe, and you're reading the cards the whole time too. You got to read the cards as they
right.
fall. But
Yeah, because we are human, right? As we come to the reading table, I know it sometimes seems like we're magical creatures, and it feels like sometimes we're magical, but we are human with our own human experiences and fears and aches and pains and heartache as we come to the reading table. So we bring that with us, and that too is a part of the sacred space. There's a reason why that particular client resonates with me. There's a reason why the person that wants a reading from you, for the chat or for you, Donna, that comes to you, they're called to you. There's something about you. It's because of who you are as a person. And you are always on sacred ground. That's like from my old Christianity background. You are always on sacred ground, no matter where you are, because you are sacred. So that's what I would say. Oh, my
yeah,
goodness, we got people in the chat. Hey, Steph. Hey. Hello, friend. This is Catherine. I know. I see you changed your name. Welcome. Hey, Christine. Donna says, I don't do many readings for others, but even reading for myself, I like to have a dedicated area to do so. Exactly. Or, if you were traveling, maybe you have you have a little travel kit. That's what I would have when I go traveling. I have a little travel kit with my reading cloth, my favorite crystals. And so even if it's on the bed or at the hotel desk, it's sacred space, you know?
right. Because
All
we
right.
declare it so.
That's right. We
Yeah.
declare it so, and so it is. Hey, joyful journey. Okay, Donna has, or not Donna, my friend Adam, Blue Fire is here, and he has a question for both of us. He says, question for both readings. How do you handle a spread that's clearly spelling something out, but the querent vehemently disagrees, but they're just protesting too much, aka denial? If you read for others, chances are you're going to deal with denial. I dealt with it last night. Not my home girl in Southern California. There was another guy. He was in denial, and I just stepped back. I said, Spirit, guide me on how to handle this situation because he was in denial. And I just let him, Spirit says, let him talk. You just, say, and just agree. The guy didn't even want me to pull cards. He just wanted me to listen. So that's a moment for me to just say, lead me, Spirit. on how to handle this? Because I can, you know, when you're dealing with someone who's in denial. That's how I handle it. How about for you, Donna?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I just listen and co-create. You know what you were talking about before a little bit ago,
Mhm.
with one of your clients. It's a co-create. Like for me, it's got to be a co-creation. Like that, that's how I come to it every time, especially
Mhm.
when it's somebody new, because not everyone feels this way. You know, not all readers read this way. It's just, this is me. This is my belief. And honestly, it's kind of my biggest challenge as a reader, because there's a lot of expectations of, oh, if you're a reader, you're psychic, and you're also you're a medium, and you're a mind reader, and you're like, you know, you're every little spiritual thing under the sun. And I just, yeah, I don't, that's not how I operate. You know, like,
Mhm.
for me, when we sit down to read cards together, it's got to be, it's a give and take, and that goes back to improv again. Like, you know,
Yes.
if you watch improv, right? You go to like a live improv show. Remember that show, What's Your Line? Yeah,
Yes.
what's your line?
I
I love
do.
that show. And it's, you know, a couple guys on the stage, a couple of people up on the stage, and it's all about, you know, somebody throws something out. The first person just comes up with a scenario, and the second person, basically, in one form or another, they say yes to that. Like if
Yeah.
you say no, there's no improv, right? And
That's
that's
true.
what's so hard about when you can see that your client goes into denial, because they're just saying, yeah, no, you got that wrong. That's not what those
Mhm.
cards say. You don't know what those cards say. You don't know me. No, no, no. Like that can
True.
be tricky. And so somehow as the reader, like there's no easy answer for this, right? There's just,
Yeah.
so all I'm saying is I go into improv mode. I, you know, usually it's, oh crap, help, guys, help me.
Yep. I love
What am
that.
I supposed to do with this? You know?
Yeah, it's true. That's exactly what it is. And that's what basically I did with him. You know, what could be at stake is if you're reading for others. Now, maybe they come to you off the street, face to face. So maybe you don't deal with reviews. But if you're on Etsy or you're on some other, site where there's reviews, it's a delicate dance because you don't want to tick them off. I still just I'm a truth teller. I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. But you don't want to cause harm either. If someone's in denial, they're in denial for a reason. And I try to have a higher perspective on that. Like, let me be a compassionate friend. You've had that, I'm sure many of us have had that friend or loved one who is in denial, and you're like, no, I just want to shake it into you. I just want to convince you that this is what it is. Look at the cards. You need to see what they're saying. And there's times where you like your intuition saying, that's not what they need right now. They need a hug. They need to feel seen. They need to just be able to let it out. The next reading session, should they come back. And he said he was gonna come back. He said, but he just needs to vent. And
Mhm.
so just listening to my higher guides and my intuition, let them vent. And then I'll just call on something in the cards that I feel like is appropriate to share. You're going to get a lot of downloads in your readings. That's a part of the process. But as
Mhm.
a reader, the job, the work to do is to discern what's appropriate to share when it's appropriate to share. That's just my opinion. That's just me. But I know other people have valid contradictions to that argument. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
Yeah,
But
because we're
improv is perfect. What were you going to say?
improv, and we're, you know, we're listening. Like I'm always listening with my whole body, like my
Mm-hmm.
whole body. You know, like I, you know, I live in my head a lot, oh, and but I try to get down into my body and see, you know, what else am I feeling? Where am I feeling? You know, because then you can really, you can get help, you can get clues. You know, especially if
Mm-hmm.
you get the little like, oh, the client doesn't want to go there. Oh, they, you know, they're in denial, or you know, they're not seeing this. And I start to kind of bring it down into the body more, especially if they're in front of me, whether it's on a screen or in person.
Yes.
That's much easier for me. Like because I'm visual, I want to see. And then you watch their body language,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, you
lots of
can
times
see it.
it's subtle. Like I don't even know. Somehow I just sort of can get my way out of the pickle, because I can see where they're at in their body,
Mm-hmm.
where the discomfort is, where the insecurity, you know, and then I just kind of track with them and go,
Yeah.
you know. So
Music
there's lots of subtle
co-creation.
ways because it's
Yeah,
a co-creation, right?
yeah.
Like, yeah.
We're dancing, we're in tandem. And I've seen readers struggle, like professional readers who struggle with this piece of they want so much the best for their querying. And I get it. I want the best for my querying too. I want to give them the shortest path to success, and I can see it. The cards give it to us. They're not ready for sometimes that information. So we got to get into a dance to get there, you know?
Mhm.
And so I love the improv idea. And I hope that tracks for other people who are watching this video is that it's a dance, it's an improv. Somebody throws a prompt, you respond or you don't. That's feedback too, but it is co-creative. And that too, in and of itself, is sacred space. And even if you do readings where you are on TikTok or you're offering readings on YouTube, there is a sacred space about that. We'll get into that in a moment, but there's sacred space even in that, medium of offering readings to those who come to you through those like social media means. And so it's still in tandem. They'll say,
Mhm.
somebody will say, "Oh yeah, that totally makes sense," or "I don't get it." Oh, okay, well let's help you get there. And don't be afraid to you ask as reader to ask for clarification. I see another sore spot for people where they're afraid to say, "I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, Querent. You've asked this question. I see the cards. It's a hot mess. And this is what I'm seeing, but it's a mess." And then the Querent says, "I know why it is. Kind of holding back, or this is what's really going on. I know what that card means." And it's a conversation. And it's an organic conversation if you allow it to be. But you gotta first get to a place of what? Sacred space. And I like to set intentions, and that's gonna be a hot subject for me on setting intentions.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Our
This
chatters
is
are chatting away here. This is so
I
great to see everybody.
see.
My gosh.
Hello, friends. Hi, Beth. Hello. Hi to the chat. Thank you all for being here. Miss Moonlight. Those caboodle boxes for makeup make nice travel boxes for. Oh yes, remember caboodles, Donna? Do you remember caboodles for
I
makeup
think
kit?
so. I had one as a theater girl. I had my little caboodle box and I'd go off to do the show and have all my stuff in there.
Yes. Oh, I miss caboodles. I remember I was a kid, and my mom was like, "You're not getting that full on kit." She got me like a little small one, and I was like, "This doesn't hold anything." She's like, "You don't need to hold anything. You don't need all the makeup. This is your little caboodle box." I'm like, I didn't know they make them that small. She's right. Caboodle boxes for your crystals, your decks, all the compartments.
You know
Good
what I
look.
love? You know what I love too for a travel thing? I can almost reach it. I love a nice funky basket like you get at sometimes you see them in the health food stores and stuff. Here's one of my travel
Yes,
baskets.
I love your basket.
And I'll pack it up. This got my space clearing tools in it, but
Mm-hmm.
something like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's just fun to like have with
Because
you. And
you bring up an important point. So, like, we talk a lot about virtual readings here in this space, but there's also in-person readings. I've only had a couple of people come into my home. My reading room is in my home. So I'm not always like just having any old body come up in here, but I will go to them. So sometimes we'll do readings on the beach. We'll do readings at their resort. There's tons of resorts out here or a cafe. And so I have my little bag with my reading cloth and my crystals. It's so heavy, people like, and I bust it out. It's a curious thing. But reading for people out and about is also a favorite thing of mine. And it taught me living out here, you can read anywhere, You could read on the beach. Be careful with your high-end cards. One
yeah,
of my cards got damaged with a spray of water, so just be careful. But you know what I mean?
yeah.
It can be anywhere. Sacred space. How about have you read in person in your personal space? In your
Not in
home?
my new space yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
Have I? Maybe I did. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I don't think so.
Okay. Not
Maybe
yet.
back when I was here, I used to be here only summers, and now I'm here full time.
That's
So I probably had
amazing.
somebody in, pulled a few
Yeah.
cards, but yeah,
You made a big move on
I
my
did.
co-host. So are you comfortable with sharing about your big move?
Yeah, sure. I can share a little bit of my big move. So I'm a American, born and raised, and always lived in New York State my whole life. And for the last 30 years, my husband and I, we lived in the New York metro area. And we've been coming up to Nova Scotia, Canada for 20 years or more, and fell in love with a house and piece of land up here. And so bit by bit, finally, a year and a half ago, we decided to move up here full time.
Nice.
And so it took some doing to make that happen. And we moved in the end of August and the end of October. And so I've only been here a couple months getting settled in, but this is my new home here. So
Nice. Look at you
yeah,
living abroad. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. We're in the same time zone. I love that too. It makes life easy to
right.
coordinate.
It's nice for Kim and I that we're in the same time zone now. Yeah.
Yes, but this is awesome. And so, yeah, maybe you'll be reading for others out and about. And so, again, it's just like you can make it as sacred as you want. I've had friends who are readers when I live in California, they have just have their deck. And we're just reading in the most craziest of places. I used to read at my workplace in my cubicle, you know, didn't have a cloth. We just have the cards laid out real fast, you know, we can make it work.
That's right. That's right. I love that.
Let's see. I would love to see what you take in your travel bag for reading and what kind of bag you use, please. Okay. I'll have to go grab it. It's
All
really
right, you
little.
go grab.
Okay, I'll grab it. It's real little. And I am going to be traveling this year back to the States. So I'll probably record a video like what's going in my travel bag, which decks are going, what crystals, because
Fun.
last time I got pulled aside in TSA when they saw my big old bag of crystals going through the x-ray machine. I think I told you about that, Donna. And they thought it could have been possibly explosives. And then they realized that once they went through everything, they had me come to the side. And then they started laughing. And this was during the pandemic. So they had the mask on, but I could see their eyes. I could see that they were starting to smile or whatever. And they ushered me to come over and they were like, look at this. And it did look like little bombs, like little, like,
Oh,
I don't know. And then they were like, but you got crystals. I'm like, yeah, I'm that one. We all laughed at the TSA thing. I'm like at the little thing, the conveyor belt. I'm like, yeah, yeah, it was
the
crystals.
joys of traveling
Metaphysician.
as a metaphysician, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, oh, yes, yes, yes. Let me get a link to, while I'm getting that bag, I got to get a link. I have it here on my,
I'll try to catch up with the chat if you want while you pop
yeah,
out. Let's see what everybody's talking about here.
make sure I put your link of your channel. Thank you, Miss Moonlight, for mentioning this is
Oh, I
Donna.
popped it. I popped it in there. I think they
Oh,
saw it.
thank you.
So it's
Okay, thank you.
artists and oracles. Or actually,
Yay.
it's actually not all one word anymore. I forgot, guys. I think it's artist space and space oracles. I unsmushed it. But anyway,
Now, so
people should
that's
come.
nice. YouTube
It's
lets you
A
do
and
that.
D. A and D.
Yes.
Artists A and D oracles. Yeah.
Yeah. Artists and oracles
Okay.
friends. Let me see. I'm gonna grab this bag. Yeah, it ain't much to see, but I'm gonna grab it. 1 second.
So, as somebody's saying here, do you use your plastic cards on the beach? I don't think I have a plastic deck, but I know some people love. There's that one deck, right? That's all plastic and very beach and seawater worthy. That's really fun. Thank you, Donna Riedler. Thanks. Saying congrats on my move.
Yes.
And still learning. Yes, we are still learning the language a little bit up here. It's different, It's not the same.
That's
It's a
true.
different. It doesn't. It's like when you move to a new state or anywhere, like different part of the world. It's different, whole different culture.
I can just
Oh, and
imagine.
Miss
Mhm.
Moonlight she's in Maine. which might as
Oh,
well be Canada.
right there, exactly. Right
We
there.
love Maine. We drive all the way across Maine. We used to drive all the way across Maine to get here. Big, beautiful state.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I've never been, obviously. I need to make a whole East Coast tour, and Maine would be one because it's always been a dream of my mom to go to Maine and Vermont. That's like her thing. Like in her California mind, those are the spots to go on the East Coast because she wants to
We
see the
love
full
Vermont.
seasons. Yeah, the changes of the
Love it.
leaves and things. So yeah. So this is what I have, friends. This little bag is what keeps my reading cloth. I'm gonna open it. I'm ashamed of what's in here. It's kind of dusty. I keep all of my
This is great.
tuck box because I can't throw them away. They're temporarily stored in here. The tuck boxes that come with my like indie decks, they come here because I'm like, well, what if I sell it? They're gonna want the original tuck box. So in my mind, I had to store them. So that's what stays in here until I get ready to go travel for this. And then I put crystals. I mean, I make it safe, crystals, maybe a candle that I've dressed and like a ritual candle, and then just like a couple of decks. And this is what I keep it in. And I've had this since I've been in the States this little bag here. I got it from the store called World Market, Cost Plus. If y'all know in the US, you know. And I got it in several years ago and I just use it and it's washable.
It's
So
cute. Cute, cute. It's a great size, perfect size, right?
little, yeah,
Nice and
handy.
compact.
Yes. So
That's
this is what I
fun.
carry too when I'm like a person's like, I'm in your town right now. We need a reading. So that or just my purse. If it's just they want a quick reading at the cafe, I'll just take my purse. But if it's a full-on spread we're gonna do, that's what I put. And it stores a lot of stuff. It looks small, but it packs a lot. So, but I will do a video when I am traveling to share with you all what goes with me. What do you take with you? What's your key sacred tools?
I gotta have a couple of decks. I always have to have an oracle deck as well as a tarot deck.
Hmm.
For sure, a couple small. I take a couple small crystals with me, just because I don't know. Crystals are home for me. They're just my
Yeah.
thing. Usually, usually a candle for sure. Candle matches.
Yeah.
I often, you know what I often stick in is some index cards and a pen, because
Ah,
I like sometimes I'll have the client like write down their question to get clear about
mhm.
it.
Oh, I love that.
And so I like to offer that, like
Yes.
just there you go, jot it down. Or sometimes I even want to jot a few things down
Hmm.
as I'm reading and working with them. So I that's just the writer in me. I always have to have my pad and paper handy.
Hmm.
Couple business cards, always a good thing.
Nice.
That's about it. And a cloth, something to spread on.
That's right. That's all good stuff. I love that you mentioned index cards because whether like especially when I do hotline readings, there's a certain hotline I work on that they submit a request for a reading and they have their questions. And so what I'll do is I'll write down their top 1 to 3 questions on an index card and I keep it in front of me. To don't look at my chicken scratch. I can barely understand what it is now. But when somehow I'm able to understand it, but I love index cards. I used to feel bad, like it's bad for the environment, but it's my process. So I love index cards to
Paper. We
write
all
it
use
and anchor
paper.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's paper, it's got a little
Yeah.
ink on it. But,
Here's one more thing I swear by. I like a little aromatherapy spritz with me in my bags.
yes, yes, yes.
So whether it's one I made myself or I've got one person sprays who I love and I use. So I love those. Even if I just give myself a gentle little spritz before. And like I have a very sensitive nose, so I try to be like I would love to, have all my own smells, but I also try to like be mindful that the client might not be able to handle it. So, I always either ask or I do it like ahead of time and then I air myself out a little bit or something. But
Oh, that's
I
smart.
like them
That's a
because
good
for
tip.
protection, I really feel like it helps to protect the space. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that brings us to like our tools, if you will. Like I use Florida water. Like I spray this in between readings. If I have a heavy reading day, and heavy reading day for me would be 4+ readings in a day. I probably, without making myself sick or burning myself out, could do short 8 readings for a day. I know people who can do 20 readings in a day or more. I can't, but I know my limitations. And so what I'll do is I will spray this Florida water spray, and it's got crystals in it. I like this creator who she's on Etsy, Laugh Shaman, and it says helping you become your best self. And this is like my 5th bottle since I found her, and I just spray it in between readings, maybe before my energy's a little funky, maybe I had an attitude towards a family member or something, like I don't want to bring this to my client, so I so I shake this up and spray it in between readings, because yes, I would love to burn incense or Palo Santo, but it's not always practical. But spray, practical. So that I keep with me. And so she has travel size bottles, but I just get the big stuff because I need the big stuff. So yeah.
Oh,
Do you
nice.
burn anything for your, like, some people, and I love how some readers are like, I don't do any of the things, y'all. And they're right. They don't have to do any of the things. Do I do every single thing, like spraying or all the things of like, oh, when you get, anchored? No. Sometimes a work day just starts with me, setting an intention and getting into the flow of things. I don't have, time or energy or the want to do things, but for the most part, this is a bare minimum. And there's some readers who are like, I don't have any of those things, and that's fine for me. That's fine. I
Mm-hmm.
do heavy duty readings sometimes, like with mysterious circumstances where there's true crime or someone's missing. I find that I have to do extra
Yeah,
clearing,
yeah, you got
and
to be careful with that.
yeah, so I have to protect my energy with that. But just the regular questions like, oh, how's my career going? You know, I don't necessarily have to do all the extras. How about you? What do you think about that?
It all depends because I'm improv girl, so I create my way. But in general, like I usually will smudge before and after and burn
Okay.
something. I like to burn. My go-to is junipers. I love juniper.
I love
That's my
that.
thing.
Juniper.
So just a quick little smudge with that, and then usually it's some kind of little aromatherapy spritz as well. And
Mm-hmm.
that the aromatherapy is more for me. I think the smudge tends to be more for the space. I kind of clear the
Mm-hmm.
space with my incense stick, and
Yeah.
then spray myself with the oils.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
And it's for you. Remember, the
yeah.
ritual process, yes, friends, are about the client or the querent or whoever you're reading for. It could be a friend or a family member, but it's also about you and your experience and making it enjoyable. If you don't need all these things, you don't have to do those things. But some of us enjoy the whole ritualistic process.
Mhm.
Having something smell good. I lit an incense earlier. It was patchouli. Oh my gosh. I smell patchouli. I could be somewhere in California on the coast in a little metaphysical shop, and I smell that. I'm like, oh, I'm in heaven. So
I
I
love
am
the
the
smell of
book.
patchouli too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's more for me. Like my queerants could care less. They're like, I'm just happy you're here. I'm like, okay. But for me, in my magic, in my experience, this is what I need from my
Mhm.
ritual. You know. So
Yeah, and it's important to take care of ourselves because we're all wired a little bit differently. And a lot of us who do this type of work, we tend to be pretty open,
yes,
pretty
yes.
porous, pretty
Mm,
porous, as one of my very dear colleagues calls me, my tendency to be quite porous.
love that.
So I have to be mindful of that, like spongy,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh.
so, when you're picking up stuff, you gotta watch out. You gotta do whatever it takes for you to
Mhm.
um, to feel like you're guarding your own energetic boundaries. That's really why, most of us use all these tools, right? Like there's a whole, you can get into the whole allure or bells and whistles, but at its core, they are tools, right? They're serving a purpose, and it's to they're energetic guardians. They're
Mm-hmm.
guarding, either guarding space and then clearing space when it's done. It's really a lot about boundaries for me.
Yes. And it's a physical representation of that boundary. Because with that, love that sponge that, like you're porous. And if you, we got this little cheap sponge the other day from like a little local corner store. They call it a Clamato out here, but it's like a little store. Told my husband, I'm like, this is a one and done sponge. Like literally, like it was saturated with water and it never like bounced back. Do you want to be that oversaturated sponge that I got at my sink in here, or do you want to have some bounce back? Do you want to, feel good again and be able to receive, what you can receive, so you can give. We receive, we give. So yeah, I love that analogy. It's that, yeah. I was like, we got to
Yeah,
go to
I
the
recommend bouncing back. I don't I don't recommend one and done.
yeah.
Not a great idea.
One and done
Yeah.
will knock you out as a reader if you're reading for others. I've been there. I've been there to the point where I have gotten very ill, very, very ill, if I don't have my certain things that I do. And that brings us to setting intentions. For me, I set my intentions every single day, whether I'm doing readings for clients, private readings virtually through my website or Etsy or hotlines, or I'm a guest on someone's channel and I'm reading the cards. I set an intention. And that is the foundation with my mind to say, okay, I want to be a blessing for others. I want them to, receive some goodness from me, and I want to protect all of us in this equation, whoever encounters this reading, and I want to protect myself. And I set that intention every single day. I do a 7 to 10 minute meditation for it. I am religious and disciplined and consistent about my intention setting. If I don't do it, I feel off. Even if the day goes by fine, I feel without my armor, if you will. My
Yeah.
armor. How about you? Do you set intentions?
Oh, absolutely. So before I work, before I meet the client, whatever way that is, in person or online, I've already called in my own guidance, protection, set my own personal intention, and it'll vary a little bit person to person, depending on what I know about the person, the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But the crux of it is, help me to be of service. May I
Yeah.
be of service?
Yes.
And so I start from there. And then
Mm-hmm.
I like when I'm with the client, if I feel that they're open enough, I usually will say, okay, let's, I language it differently. Sometimes I say, okay, let's set an intention, or let's call in your guides. I try to get a sense for what are their spiritual beliefs or their religious tradition. And I
Mm-hmm.
like to, I'll speak like I believe in all of it. So just tell me what it is. Is it Christian? Is it Buddhist? Is it Muslim? Like, we'll language it
Mm-hmm.
however you want, but just say, just basically you're saying a simple little prayer. And to me, that can just makes all the difference, because that's how many of us were raised, that like
Yeah.
that's what's sacred, right? We're praying together. And it
Yeah.
just completely changes the tone, and things get really real all of a sudden, and they realize like, oh, she is really here for me. She's going to listen to me. I can, speak the truth. I can be vulnerable. They can usually sense. They just, because a
Mm-hmm.
presence comes into the room. If you call it, usually when
Mm-hmm.
I call it, it comes. There's a change. You can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go from there, and it makes the reading so much easier.
It does, because you're calling upon the support of your spirit team. They are your ambassadors with the spirit team of your querent, and they are doing their thing. And I love to envision that going on at the spirit realm. If that makes any sense, it's like, and you're right. Many of us come from a background of some form of religion or spiritual path,
Mhm.
and that language just helps bring comfort. I had a review maybe a week ago, and someone says, and I do predictive readings. I make no bones about it. I do predictive readings. I let people know, hey, you know If it happened, it happened. But I'm gonna do a predictive reading. And the lady said, I don't know if what's to come with the prediction. That's not what's important to me. She gave me peace tonight. And that's what I needed. And that's my goal. I want to be able to support my querent. Yes, I want to give them their answers for sure. I want to give them some accurate answers. I don't want to give them some crazy out of the, but I want to give
Yeah.
you peace.
Yeah,
That's what I
absolutely.
want. Like you said, of
Yeah.
being of service. That's part of my being of service. That's what brings me joy when I do a reading anywhere, everywhere. On YouTube, on through Etsy, face to face with my little out of town people who find me that come here, for a vacation. It doesn't matter. I want to help you to ground, bring peace, tap into your own intuition, So
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
And so just to contrast that, so and Kim knows this about me, and she's good with it and I'm good with it. Like I am not a predictive readings person. That's just not like how I
Mhm.
work. But I am all about empowerment. And so
Yes.
I find all kinds of ways to tell that to the client, like up front, like I'm here to support you, to empower you.
Hmm.
So tell me what's on your mind, what's your question. A lot of the times it takes a while to help them really formulate the question, right?
True.
I feel like that's a big part of my job, is to help them get really clear about what really do you want to know. And
Yeah.
I try to help sort of massage that into the
Hmm.
most empowered kind of question, because
Hmm.
oftentimes their question isn't it's about other people way more than it's about themselves.
True.
So the best way
True.
I've found to empower somebody is like, let's bring it back to you as much as we can. you know
Hmm.
we we all want answers to who's doing what, and no, I get that, I want that too, but what's that going to do for you? How is that about you?
Yeah.
So
Good. Yeah.
that's my whole improv thing, my whole dance that I'm doing with them. It's just trying to, lovingly, gently, but clearly, help them
Hmm.
see, like, I'm here to empower you.
Yeah.
I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you, but I'm just saying, maybe let's try this. This
You're
feels
right.
like it's going to empower you more.
Hmm.
And
I love it.
that's a real art of cartomancy, to be able to do that.
That's
You
right.
know,
And
that's
we
a real
all
art.
approach cartomancy different. And I love how you said that. Like Kim will touch on, she'll do predictive readings, but for you, you're about empowerment. We are all different. So if you're coming to this channel or going to Donna, like you understand this, that we're all different. Like readers are not cut. Like we're not the same, like, paper dolls and we're all like exactly the same. Some of us do predictive readings, some of us don't. Some of us use um, the cards for empowerment or spirituality. Some of us, do quote unquote fortune tellings. Some of us are hybrids. We're all different. And that's the beauty of it. But, be careful if you're a querent and you're seeking out a reading. And I know I don't have to preach this to my folks here in the audience, but those who happen to find my channel later, just be careful because read their descriptions on their
Yeah.
Etsy shop, on their website, on their hotline profiles, or
Mhm.
their YouTube description. Read it because they're telling you oftentimes, like, this is my style, this is my
Right.
belief
My
system.
style, my
Yeah,
beliefs, my specialty, right? We all have our specialties. It's just like any other profession, right?
right.
You've got a
Exactly.
background, you've got a certain lens that you come at, the world, different professions you had in the past, you bring all that with you.
Yeah.
And it really behooves the client to, like, pay attention to that. Don't think that's just, marketing. No, no, no. We're telling you, this is how I'm going to read for you. So
Yeah.
if this really sparks and you're like, oh, that's a cool person, then you're probably going to feel comfortable with me and you should come read with me. If you read my bio and you're like, I don't know what the hell she's talking about, go find somebody else. There's lots of other readers. Go find somebody that's going to speak, because it's a language. We have to speak the same language. We have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And like a reader, like lots of people, they have a long time reader, just like we have, like I have a long time healer person, personal
Yeah,
mentor, you know, that I've gone to for decades. Like we speak the same language, right?
that's right.
She knows who I am. That's a
Mhm.
relationship that we've built over a long time. You can have that with a reader too, but you have to start somewhere. Like you have to, right? You have to start by
Yes.
like get on the same page and get to
It's like
know
the
each other.
Yeah, it's like the primary care physician. I remember we had a primary care physician from when I was a baby until she retired. I have clients who've been with me since I went professional back in 2016, 2017 is when I officially opened my business. They've been with me since then. And they don't just come for the same questions. They come to me for all sorts of things. I'm their go-to generalist as a tarot reader. But that's because we gel. We resonate with one another. We speak, like you said, the same language. That's what it is.
Hmm.
Somebody, some readers. I have readers that I go to, a few readers, and we gel. Yes,
Right.
I get readings from time to time, especially high
Hmm.
stress situations like building
Yeah,
a
me
house and
too.
like, oh yeah, I need
We
help.
we
Like,
practice what we preach.
yes.
I have a reader or two as well. Absolutely.
So we have our healers, and so it's just that finding that sweet spot, if you
Hmm.
will. That's what I would say to that. And let me see. I'm getting all the way from the
Yeah, maybe
chat.
we should pay attention to our chat a little bit, huh? We're having
Uh,
such a great time that we're like
thank you
we're
so
ignoring our
much.
chatters and they're chatting away here.
Yeah, because this is a subject that we are passionate about. And I remember it was one of the things we talked about when we first did and I'll share in my community tab the first video Donna and I did together for Artistry of Cartomancy. And I remember this being one of those topics like, we got to do a standalone video just on this. Do they still do phone line hotlines or is it all video? No, they still do. My favorite is voice call. So you could do video like Zoom, kind of, if you know what I mean. You could do chat if you're a fast typer or if you do voice to text, or you could do voice call. My favorite is voice call. I don't have to get dressed. I can roll out of bed if I want to. They can hear my voice. I can hear them. I can hear their inflections, and we build a bond. And one of my preferred ways on the hotlines is voice call. So yes, we still do voice call. They still do the per minute thing, but it's my favorite. Chat, I'm still trying to fall in love with it. I'm a fast typer, but it's still a lot can be lost in translation. Um, with any kind of written communication. And then yes, there is video. There is like they put in a request, you respond with a video response. So yeah, thank you, Miss Moonlight. That's a great question. Adam Bluefire, he has a question for both of us. What was the most unusual tarot reading experience you've had with a query?
I don't know. Kim's gonna have to take
Unusual.
that. I'm not good at being put on the spot with things like that.
I love
I'll
Adam.
think of it in the middle of the night. Thank you very much, Adam.
Yes, and then you could add it to the comment section later. Yeah, like this is quite unusual. I mean, I've had a few. Um, I would say it's not even so much unusual. Um, one time, okay, I have two quick scenarios. One was a guy wanted to he wanted to gift a reading for his parents for his dad's birthday. And I was worried. I was like, okay, if they're like my parents, and I think they were the same age, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, are they going to be open to what I got to say? Like, I know you and I vibe readings, but what about your parents? Are you okay? And then we didn't get a chance to really talk. And I couldn't read them. I couldn't read them. It was Zoom. It was during the pandemic. I couldn't read them. And finally, the wife was like, "This was really great." At the very end of the reading, it's like an hour reading, and like I couldn't read them. And the dad, whose birthday this reading was for, he sent me a message like 2 weeks later. He was like, "That was great. I really appreciated the time." I think he probably really liked the opportunity to bond with his wife, and that his son gifted him this birthday gift. It was like this was so awkward to me. I felt so like, you know, and like
So
hitting.
okay, you keep saying you couldn't read the meaning, like so it happened. you're saying it happened. They met you over
Mm-hmm.
Zoom, is in the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, and the whole time
Mm-hmm.
you were feeling like, I don't know, I can't tune into
Yes,
them. I don't know if
exactly.
I am reading them well, or, right.
That's
And then
right.
afterwards they were like, oh, they gave you feedback, which how great is
Yeah.
that?
It is helpful to have feedback during the reading, but the dad was poker face, and he was the one that the birthday reading was for. I was like, I don't know if any of this is landing or making any sense. And I have my
I've,
question
yeah,
ready. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I've had a couple of those like poker, I call them those who like to test. And I had, for better or for worse, I had them early on when I was stepping out, trying to
Yeah.
be like, I think I can read for other people. And, you know, it was tricky, but it taught me to just be like, well, this is how I read. Like, and they both kind of wanted me to be psychic. And
Yes.
one person, I was reading with my own deck at the time. I have a collage deck that I
That's
made
right.
myself.
That's
So I
right.
was, and it was all set up, marketed that way, that, like, this wasn't a tarot reading. And then I kind of re-explained that again. But the person who was also a tarot reader, interestingly, like, she just couldn't, it was like she was testing me. I don't know. I think she was sort of sent to
No,
test me by the
that's
powers that
okay.
be, like, what
Yeah.
is she doing? And I just, lovingly and gently just said, well, this is how I do it. And that's the reading where I learned to say, like, look, it's a co-creation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she just wanted to walk in and she wanted me to do all the work. And so that
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, that was a gift. It was a hard gift that I learned that, like, this is who I am as a reader, and either I'll stand by it, or I'll get tested every single time. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people coming in and handing me all their power. I just don't
No,
want that. I just
right.
don't like that. It's not my thing. I just don't see how that's helpful. And
Mm.
so that it was unusual. And I think I knew coming in, or she told me right away, that she was a reader.
Oh yeah.
And
When they come in with
she was from
that.
a family of readers too, interestingly. Just to the
uh,
whole, yeah,
the pressure
yeah.
of it
I could
all.
give a
Like,
little more. I won't give too much, but, like, yeah. And
yeah.
and yeah, I was like, wow, okay, yeah, so you're a reader, and you're from a family of readers, and, like, you're testing me. Like, why are you testing
Yeah,
me
you're
so
here
much?
for me. Like, yeah, that
Yeah,
happens. It does happen.
but
More often than not, folks. There will be people like, well, I read the cards too. And some will be like, I dabble with the cards, I just do this or that. I had someone last week, and I get excited. I'm like, this is great, because maybe you see synchronicities in your reading that you did on this subject, and I'm going to give you a reading. And then they get excited. But sometimes it is like, oh God, you're like from a family of readers and you're reading. I try to like not get all caught up in that headspace. But yeah, it's pressure. It's pressure. Let's just keep it real. It's pressure. And I don't know what their intentions are about the pressure, but it is pressure. Um, yeah. And again, from the pandemic, the only other thing that was odd was there was a going away maternity party for a lady who booked a reading for me to come into the conference room for a board meeting during the pandemic. They wanted to give a nice send off to the boss who was pregnant and about to go on maternity leave. And I was like, okay, I could do this. I could do this. But I was like, this is wild. Didn't even the people were in San Francisco, and so in my mind, I'm like, oh my god, in some high rise, like in their boardroom, me sitting with my cards and doing readings for the pregnant woman, and then the people who if we had time for the other people at the table, who like at the conference table, who wanted a reading. But it was so much fun. The pandemic actually was really cool because it stretched me in ways that I never expected to be stretched in terms of doing virtual readings. But I was all over the place. Couples readings, bachelorette parties during that time,
she's
girls'
done it
night.
all, this one. She's done it all.
But there was things in the pandemic. That was the moment in time for all of us collectively. And I was like, well, I still want to do readings, so I guess it's going to be virtual. And here we are. So
Hmm.
Adam, that's how I can answer your question. for our unusual. It's not super. I'm sure people have totally way out there unusual reading experiences, and I would love to hear from you all on your most unusual tarot reading experiences. No hotline.
Hotline. Yeah, no, we still
Yeah,
call it hotlines.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I still call it a
yeah.
hotline. It may get a bad rep because some people are like, well, there people are just trying to run up the minutes. I'm the opposite. I'm like, let me get you your information as quickly as possible. It's not my fault that people still want to talk to me minute over minute over minute, and next thing you know, it's 45 minutes later. That's not my problem, you know. But it's a hotline. Adam says spiritually gifted people usually know that for every negative, there's a positive without exception, which is what gives us the clarity some don't have. That's right. That's right. So the important work that we do. Hey, Lila, Tapestry of the Unseen is in the house. I'm glad you're here. Use your plastic. Yes. So I don't have a plastic card stand. I guess I'll be in the market for one. After that whole debacle of my cards getting damaged, I never took my decks back to the beach. I'm like, we'll just meet at the cafe near the beach. I'm not going to the beach because I was like, I'm not even at the shore, like really at the shore where it's spraying on you. No, no, no. I'm up on the sidewalk and some kind of spray came over and damaged my cards. Yes, yes, yes. So let's see. Donna says, last time I flew a Himalayan salt crystal candle holder in my bag and it got flagged. Isn't it so cool? I mean, to be magical and get flagged for such a cool thing. I mean, you could be flagged for some.
I have a funny story, a little related to that. One time I
Yeah,
was flying and I had a whole little essential oil kit with me. I was going out to the Midwest somewhere to do some training, and uh, got, kind of flagged, pulled aside by, the security guy, and I thought, oh, here we go, they're gonna like strip search me, take my luggage, because I was always trying to be, I don't like to be hassled when I travel, and I like, in a lot of ways, I
true.
like to kind of be under the radar a little bit, so I was like, oh, here it comes. So I just started praying in my mind. I was like, please, come on, it's just that. And the guy was like super respectful. He just had to, he had to do his job. He had to open it up and he looked at it, and and he was kind of, like a little, no expression or whatever, right? And I was trying to be like, don't be too friendly, And he got all done and he gave it back to me and he just whispered and he said, my wife uses essential oils too. You're all set. Here you go. And it was just like this sweet. It was just so kind. I remember being so touched. I probably started to tear up. I was like, because I was nervous. I was just like, please
Yeah,
don't hassle me. Don't
no,
make me
right.
miss my flight. I think it was like, I had 2 flights to catch or something.
Yeah,
And it was just so lovely. So,
yeah.
you never know.
You
I
never know.
just start praying. That's what I do. Whenever I'm like, oh, here we go. I just start praying. Please
I
help,
know.
help.
And I'm like, and I have some of the things that we're carrying, we want in our carry-on because that's who we are as people. But it probably would make it easier for us if it was just, in our checked bags, But I'm like, no, I want my crystals, like Donna was like, I want my Himalayan salt, crystal candle to be with me. I need it to be safe. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to cost you a little extra time through TSA. But I love to see their reaction. It just makes me happy. Like it brought a little smile to their faces, and that made me super
Mhm.
happy. And she said another time they inspected an oracle deck. Gerald says another thing that I always do when reading is to be fully present in the moment. Improves require that intention. Improv. Now I see requires that attention. It helps me a lot to remember to be present. And Gerald's
Yeah.
really great about that. Like I've seen him in reading.
Yeah.
He's really great about that. You've got to be. mm, If
You
you
can't
can't,
phone
if
it
you,
in. I
yeah,
mean,
if
you
you,
can phone it in. It's always an option, but I don't recommend it.
right,
It's more fun. It's more fun to be present with people and to just sort of play. Improv is a play. It's just like throwing a ball back and forth. Like, okay, I'll
true,
throw it to you, throw it to me. What do we got? And yeah, but
yeah.
you can't get too ahead of yourself or think you got it all figured out to do that. You have to just track with that person, stay really present with them.
That's true. Because imagine if you're not, if the attention isn't there, you're going to miss key things. You're going to, like, if with the ball analogy, if the person's throwing the ball back to you, you're looking all over here and distracted, and something's going on over here, and your mind is elsewhere, you're going to miss it. And is that really fair to the querent? Whether they're paying you or not, many of my querents, when I first started out, were friends, colleagues, family members. But I still wanted to bring up like just this energy of presence and awareness of what was going on in the reading. If we can't do that, then I tell them I'm not in a space to do a reading. There will be days, there will be a stretch of time as a professional reader. I will take days off because I'm just
Yeah.
not able
Oh,
to
yeah.
focus, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Donna says, see, to me, that that bag is still pretty. So she said, my bag is still pretty big. I use a cosmetic pouch. Oh my God, that'd be too small for me. I have a cosmetic pouch.
Oh,
I'd be
yeah,
like,
no.
oh, I could do it. Me, I'm a maximalist.
Oh, I need that. That's a small bag to me. I like a nice big bag.
That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking I'm being, you know,
That's smart.
kind of, yeah, it's
And I
small
like
to me.
options. I like options. I try to tune in and ask which decks I'm going to need, but you never know. Yeah,
True.
I like a couple of backups just in case.
Yes. I like backups. I like variety and options. And that brings us to our deck beliefs of like shuffling and all those things. But the truth be told, you really can do a proper reading with one or two decks. Maybe you have one oracle, one good tarot deck that's well worn and loved.
Hmm.
It's going to deliver on any type of reading. But I'm that maximalist. I've got a lot of decks. I want to be able to choose and pick and choose and treat it like a library. That's my reading style. But I love when I
Hmm.
hear people say, oh, yeah, I just did a reading with one deck. I'm like, right on, right
Yeah.
on. Won't be me, knowing me, but right on.
Maybe in our
I love
old age, we'll have our one ride or
that's
die,
true.
deck that's in tatters. That's all we
Mm-hmm.
revisit.
And Gerald says he loves some index cards too. It just
Well,
anchors.
we know that about you, Gerald.
That's
Gerald
true.
will always send us index cards with his
Yes,
hashtags and
that's right. I
promoting,
love
and
you
he's always got everybody written up, his guests. We
for
love you, Gerald.
sure.
He's so great.
Yes, Jedex expresses are great, especially in places where burning incense would be a for sure. I mean, my husband is super allergic. My kids, my sons, they don't live with me anymore. They're adults now. Super allergic to like smoke smells and things like that. So I can't always just be burning stuff. So spritz, hotels, you
Yep.
know, you want to set off that alarm and answer questions. That's your business, not me. I don't want to be bothered. I'm traveling.
Well, I definitely do a little stealth smudging in my hotel room. I just have to clear the energy. You'd be amazed. You can smudge in there without setting the alarms
That's true.
off. And I gotta get the cleaning smell out of there. And sometimes I walk in the room and I can smell the previous perfume of people, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa. So I just consider it this
Ooh.
is my perfume. I do it really quick.
Yeah,
I don't smoke the whole room like I would, like I'm aware that it's a hotel room and I'm not really supposed to be doing that, but like I have to. I literally
yeah,
have to clear the energy. I just do a little bit. And then I always travel with a diffuser. This is great. I mean, people who are
oh,
sensitive probably know this. I have a little travel diffuser and I do not go to a hotel without it because sometimes I literally I can't breathe in there and I can get a headache and then I don't sleep and it's a whole thing that's not pleasant. So I plug that diffuser in right away. I have a certain blend that works really well, and I just get that, and I have it right by my bed, like by my bed on the nightstand, so that it's like right in line with my nose, and
yes.
that's what helps me.
That's a great tip, a diffuser. I forget about my diffuser all the time. I have one I used to religiously use it just in the home, but you're right. You could take that bad boy anywhere.
Yeah,
And you're right, too. Let's be real. Yes, I have busted out some. I'm like, I don't think the fire alarms are going to go off. Have I done that? For sure. Like, we're like,
yeah.
let's see, smudging and clearing. For absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. One time we stayed in a place. they had given away our room in a non-smoking room, and the only room that was available, and they comped us or whatever, but the only room was available was a smoking room. And you ain't never smelled nothing. So like if you have been around smokers all your life, you're used to it. No, this took it like times 10. People who just smoke in a hotel room morning till night. I was like, I don't think I can stay here. But you know what helped me out is my smell good. Because I was like, I don't think I can stay here. And I was a smoker at one point. So it's for me to say something like that.
Yeah.
Whoa, it was like yuck. It stank. I was like, oh God, I can't. I can't. It's giving me a headache.
Oh
Okay, I
yeah,
have.
a lot of people swear by the sage spray. I don't know if
Mhm.
I've ever had a sage spray, but
I
yeah, it's
have.
great. Yeah, how you
I
like it?
ran.
Yeah.
Yes, I have it, or I had it, ran out of it, and didn't replace it because I'm not in California where I originally got it from. But I do swear by it. Ah, the Boadica. Y'all know I can't pronounce it. Tarot of Earthly Delights is coming out mass market. I did
Boadicea?
not know that. Yes,
Boadicea.
it's over there. I mispronounce it every single time, but it's near and dear to my heart. I still use
I
the
don't
Blue
know if I've
Star.
heard.
Yeah, it's up there. I didn't know it was going to
Cool.
be mass. I hope if it's mass
Ah,
market and smaller, I'm going to get it. I'm gonna get it. Thank you for that tidbit because I didn't know. I knew that the first edition is running out because I got an email yesterday from the creators like, okay, get your last first editions for those who care about first editions. Get it. Now it makes sense because they're about to go mass market. Ooh, yeah, who is the publisher? Okay, question. Lisa says, if you could go to any card reader for yourself, who would you go to? Now, are you talking about tarot too? Because I'll go to Donna. Let me just say, I go to Donna.
oh
Um,
yeah.
who would I
Yeah, that's a
go
hard
to?
one. To that I would say it would totally depend on the question, situation. Like
Yes.
I'm lucky. There's several. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of readers. I'd have to sit down and be like, okay, who is the right reader
For this question.
for this
Yeah.
question, this situation? You
Yeah.
know?
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Because there and I'm not one of those people like, oh, I need somebody who's been doing it for 25 years. No. Sometimes my intuition be like, no, this person who just started out reading, I feel like could really take this on. And so I'm gonna give you a question. So if I mention people, they may not even have a channel or anything like that. They may not even be in our world over here on
Right.
TarotTube. They just maybe someone who I know is getting into the cards, or it could be someone seasoned who's been doing readings for a long time. Uh,
And you know what
that's a
else I would say? I would say to Lisa, like, yeah, maybe I'm reading into your question a little bit. But we all want to know, like, who's a good reader, right? But so
Mhm,
I would say trust your intuition, especially if you're hanging
mhm.
out here with us and you're around Tarot Tube, and you watch a couple of YouTube lives with people, or you find yourself on somebody's channel and you're really drawn to them.
Yeah,
Trust that, and they give readings. Try
yeah,
you have to try it. Just
and
try
you'll
it.
know.
There's no one right answer. There's no, like
Yeah,
best, top reader. It just, yeah,
yeah,
find the reader
and
that's
you'll
right
just
for you.
know exactly.
Yeah.
You'll just know, um, like when people come to me, they're like for example, on the hotlines, I don't have nearly as many as some other people because I don't do it full time. So my numbers are small. So I'm not all up in the algorithm. But people will come to me, querents or clients, they're like, I don't know why I feel drawn to you. I just feel drawn to you. And I'm like, I know why. We got a karmic connection. We got a little something, something, but I don't tell them that. But
I was gonna say, do you say
you
that to them too?
no,
Good
I
girl.
don't say it. Sometimes I do though, because if we had a really great reading experience, I'm like, thank you for finding me and allowing me to do this reading for you.
Yeah.
Because
And
and
that's
they're
part of
like,
their learning, right? That's part of their
yes,
learning to
their
realize,
intuition.
you
Yeah.
know, because
It
yeah.
affirms their intuition. They're like, everything you said was spot on. Yeah, I mean, that's because you and I share something. You found me. I don't even
Hmm.
want to say found. It's almost like we aligned to this moment. Sometimes I'm not on the hotlines for days or weeks. And then I go on that night and they're like, someone told me to go on tonight and see who's a reader that I want to pick, and then you're there. And I'm like, well, it's a fluke because I'm not normally on here. It's that magical process.
Hmm.
I love about
That's
it.
cool. That's awesome.
Ah, thank you, Lisa. She says, your attitudes say a lot about who you both are. Love it. Oh, love that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, thank you.
Miss Moonlight wants to know, do you both work full time as professional readers? Uh, Donna, would you like to? I do work full time as a reader. Now, full time won't be like 40 hours, 5 days a week, but I am a full time reader. That is where my primary gist, of, like the money, comes from in my readings and my earnings. How about you, Donna?
Uh, Similar to Kim, like I'm definitely not working full-time hours. A lot of that's because
Mhm.
I just had this big move and I'm getting settled in. But it is that's my primary work night now. It's how I identify right now as a reader. So I'm here. If people want readings, definitely seek me out and I will make time for you.
For sure, for sure. And I remember, like, if some of you all know Avalon Cameron, I remember a long time ago, I watched her several years ago, maybe 2016, and she said, I'm a full time reader, but let's not make a mistake about what full time is. I couldn't do, full time, 8 hours a day, 40-hour a week work week, but I'm full time. This is what I do. This is my
Yeah,
living. This is my calling.
I
And
love
so
that.
I love that too. It stuck with me, and I'm like,
Mhm.
that's what I aim for. Some days I'm working all day from readings, getting them out. And some days it's like one reading or two readings, maybe. And it's a couple of hours, it's not, but it's still all averages out, if that answers your
Yeah,
question.
it's awesome.
Gerald says, everyone has a different style of reading and find the one that works with your needs. I'm rather blunt, but I'm great at holding space to help people find their power. And hey,
I would definitely agree with that about Gerald for sure.
and there's
Yeah.
a lot of people who appreciate that. I appreciate that. I don't need the sugar coating. Some people do, and that's okay. That's okay that they need that extra language. But
Mhm.
people need it blunt, you
One more
know?
thing about how Gerald reads. Gerald
Mm-hmm.
is funny and
Yes.
fun, and his channel is fun. So if you like to have fun, it's one of my favorite things. And just another shout out to Gerald. I've probably said this before, but I'm on Tarot too because of Gerald, because he was so welcoming and
Yeah.
fun, and he offered to, have anybody come on his channel. And I thought, okay, well, why not? So I
Yes.
appreciate that. I like to bring the fun. I like to go deep with people. This is what Gerald and I have in common too. Like you can go deep with people, right? And
Yeah.
be mature and serious and stuff, but still have fun, right? You
That's right.
dive deep and then you got to come back up,
For
right?
sure. He's so
So,
much fun. I went on his channel and it was so wonderful. I went on when I first moved out here, terrible internet, terrible power outages, and he just made me feel so comfortable. I hope to visit Gerald's channel again soon because oh my gosh, it was so
me
much fun.
too.
He's just so much fun to be around. So y'all got to check out the channel,
Yeah.
Gerald Stash. Check it out. Beth says you have to remember that some people just have RBF and crossed arms. Resting bitch face, for those who don't know. It's one of my favorite phrases to say now. They actually are open to the reading, but it can shut you down if you read their body language for sure. And that poker face, you could get lost and caught up in that. And that might come for you, like Donna, from your experience with improv and theater and stuff. Like you can't necessarily judge a audience's response, like your performance can't always be picked up on what the audience is doing, if that makes any sense. Sometimes the
It kind
audience
of
is,
does.
you
Often what
know,
we say is like, when a performer goes out, like within the first 5, 10 minutes, the first couple people on stage, they'll come
mhm.
back off and you'll say to them, how's the audience tonight? How's the house? Was it, and like, it's all about like, are they with us? Were they, and we would have code words for like, they're a little, or even just it's half like the numbers, if you got a half full house of people or a
Yeah,
very small house of people, can be really hard to get the energy going, right?
That
So
makes
anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, but like you
that
just
makes
gotta
sense. Oh
kind of like
gosh,
read it and get it going. And that's a poker face person. Yeah, that can be a talent. So again, I just start playing. I just like, well, I gotta find a way to loosen up because usually people who do the RBF, they're just nervous, they're just scared, or they've
yeah,
had a bad experience,
very true.
or they just don't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
There's lots of stereotypes about, charlatan readers, people who are gonna
true.
mess with you and just so I just set about putting them at ease, being myself and being real,
That's true.
helping them to relax. That can go a
Okay,
long way.
and that's about circling back to us as who we are as people. Be yourself because you can't go wrong with that. Even if they're like, I know they're a total charlatan. They didn't pick up on the thing that I wanted them to pick up on. 9 out of 10 times, even with the people who have RBF, at the end of it, they'll be like, oh, wow, you picked up on something I didn't even tell anybody. But I wouldn't know that throughout the reading. I'm like, are we all right? But I just keep being me and just
Right.
showing up as me, and it that pays off. That's why I think I also am called to this work too. I get to be me. If I'm not being me in the reading, then I don't need to be doing it. That's
Mhm. Some people make you work harder than others, but that's okay.
right. That's life.
Yeah.
That's just any profession. If you're working in a service oriented industry, you're going to encounter people who are going to make you work a little harder. Doesn't mean that they are not worthy of the full experience. Everybody gets the full Kim experience, whether you want it or not. You signed up, you paid for it, here we go.
That's what I
And
love about you. That's why I'm hanging with you, because that is some good mojo to have. And I just hang around so that really rubs off on me. It's helped me
uh,
to just be myself. Because yeah, you gotta be yourself. You
yeah,
just gotta not be afraid to be yourself. That's
yeah,
the real way to help people.
that's the way that's the path. If nothing else, friends, fall back on being yourself. Even when you get
Yeah.
nervous, a little stage fright, fall back on you.
Even if you strike out, you're gonna strike out, quote, strike out sometime, like whatever, like
You may strike out.
let them come and go.
And that's okay. You will, and then we all professional readers will say, there will be times you strike out or they'll say, that doesn't make any sense. Okay. And that's
They're
okay. And
not,
maybe it makes sense later, maybe it won't, and that's okay. You're just a channel of the information of what you're and your filters, and you're conveying that information, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes that interpretation or translation you're doing doesn't land with the person who's supposed to receive it, and that's okay. You did what you were supposed to do. How about smartphone tarot apps? I've used them, but it always feels a little weird and somehow less valid than a physical deck. Like full stock apps. I agree with you. There is something about me that's kind of old school that likes to have it in hand, a deck. But sometimes I'm in the bed at like 2 in the morning, and my husband would probably have a problem with me shuffling my decks in the bed. And I have a burning question that needs to be answered at 2 in the morning. So
It's hard to shuffle quietly. I have tried. It's hard to shuffle quietly when there's a hubby in the bed next to you.
yeah, or a pet, or a child, or a roommate next in the room next over. So you you gotta, so the apps are in a pinch. I don't like to necessarily make it my go-to. Now, professional readers, I do know there are some readers who are doing digital readings. They do use those apps. I like old school, and I think that's where my querents come to me. I like to feel the shuffle. I like to hear the cards and have.
Professional readers that are using apps on their clients?
I do.
Wow,
I'm not a fan.
that's not my
I'm.
scene.
It's not my thing because I like
Yeah.
tangible decks. You know.
Yeah, I love them. It's a lot of why I love the feel of the cards in my hand. And that's usually how the decks that I love and work with the most is it's all about how they feel. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I pick them carefully for the colors and the art, but then ooh, cardstock and size and everything, that's all. It's a whole
The whole
package.
package. The whole
It's a whole
package.
package. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get through these
But
last
cool
chapters.
question.
Yeah, that is a cool
I've
question.
used some of the apps. I don't know that I've used the tarot app. I probably have, but I know I've used an Oracle app a couple times.
Hmm.
When I first saw them or they came out, I was like, oh wow, how does this work? But yeah,
Yeah, I like them. I mean, they're not, and what's great about those apps is they have the one that I use for that one, the Boetica,
Bodicea.
Boetica,
Boudica. I guess
Boadicea.
it is Boudica, isn't it? You don't pronounce the E? I don't know.
Yeah, like that one. That one, you can make your own meanings to each of the cards, but they have a guidebook with all the meanings. There's different spreads. It's really cool. It's a cool tool. So I wouldn't say not to have the apps, so
Yeah.
Beth says, my bag got opened by TSA one time and I had a bunch of tarot decks. They looked through, and then the uniformed TSA agent was so into tarot. It's so delicious. We
Okay,
talked for
that's
like 20 minutes.
fun. That's fun.
It's fun. And it
Yep.
makes for a fun time at the airport, which is normally stressful or can be stressful.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So I'll make sure I get all the questions. Donna says, my theory is that he has a family member who crochets or knits, and he was so afraid of damaging it. I must have missed something.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't see. Okay.
Donna says, I had the salt crystal wrapped in my crochet project to protect it. Okay, cool. And when the TSA agent was rewrapping it, little ball of yarn. I can just imagine that. Donna R, I can imagine that. And so rewrapping it, the little ball of yarn rolled off the table onto the floor. The agent was horrified. I don't know why I can mentally picture
Oh
that.
my gosh, yeah, that's funny.
So yeah, so my
It
theory is
must
that
be such an interesting job, right? Like having to go through people's stuff all
yeah,
the
it can be
time and all
high
the weird stuff
stress.
you have to look at and try to act
Yeah,
like you know what it is. Like, yeah.
yeah. And it could be colorful or it could be super like stressful, like if
Yeah.
somebody's passing something dangerous through. But there's
Yeah, for sure.
a group of folks over here. We got salt crystal, the Himalayan salt crystal candle holders. Yeah. I was in the hospital for a long time and it was a lifesaver, the spray. Yeah, for sure. I've been
Your
reading
stage
some.
spray, I bet. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm, I have.
Hospitals are tricky.
Oh, Magical Earth Tarot now has a full-size guidebook. Thank you, Beth. I'm gonna check that out because I'm all about that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You both seem amazing, very grounded and sweet.
Aw.
Definitely say that about my friend Donna, my
Aw.
co-host. Yes.
Ditto. Ditto about Kim. We have a
Oh,
good time. We have a good time together.
we do. And literally, friends, I don't want to keep us here all day, but there's like we could do a
No.
part two on
We
this.
better do part two. I just looked at the time. My goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could literally do because now I want to get into the nitty gritty of like the next show. And we'll have a next show now that our series is back up.
Yeah.
Donna's moved into her new home. I'm settled with some decent Wi-Fi, blessed be. And we're going to get back at it and we can talk about, oh, how many times you shuffle? Do you shuffle? Do you use spreads? Do you not use spreads? Why not? Are you questions
Yeah.
based? So we're going to get, I guess,
Or
are you
just
okay
hang
with
out.
that, Donna? Like
I'm
going
great with
deeper
that.
into that? Okay.
I'm great
Yeah.
with that. And I just to, it'd be nice to meet regularly. And just this is fun when we story swap, as
Yeah.
readers and because we all
Yeah.
just want to hear each other's stories and you learn a lot. I've learned so much on TarotTube. Like I'm on TarotTube to try to give back because early on when I came on in like, I don't know, 2018 or whenever it was, I didn't know any other readers at all. And
Yeah.
I just started hanging out with everybody here and I was just amazed at how much I
Yeah.
got from it and how much enjoyment. So
Yeah.
it's nice to come together because we're all over the world, but there's still
Sure.
lots we can chat about.
For
And we could bring
sure.
some guests on too, probably, right? Kim, you
I
probably
would
could do that.
love to bring guests on the next part. We'll do a part two, the nitty gritty of offering the ritual of offering readings for others. So stay tuned for that. It's that nitty gritty, like what I just mentioned before. And you're right, we get to commiserate and talk about and share stories. And that's what I hope you all do here in the chat and also in the comment section is to share that because we learn and grow together, right? Like
Yeah.
That's how I learned. When I first got on Tarot Tube, it was 2014. Then I got a little ballsy and started playing with cards in 2016. And then by 2017, I'm like, I want to read for others. I want to. This is great. I like reading for myself. This is cool, but I really want to read for others. But all along that journey and up until 2025, I watch other people and learn from their experiences. And that's why we want to create this sacred space. Ritual
Hmm.
sacred space. Donna and I, this is what Artistry of Cartomancy, the series is all about. Whether you read professionally or not, whether you read for others or not, we all can learn and grow in tarot together. That's what I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Share tips, stories, cautionary tales,
Oh, yeah.
books, decks. Maybe I'll bring some books next time.
Yes.
I'm a book lover. You can see all my books and some of my decks behind me, and
I love
so
it.
it's fun to just bring ones that have really helped you a lot.
For
So
sure. Bring some recommendations, and we will do that. And so that stay tuned, friends, for part two. I always come out with the truth, and they need the truth. Don't get it twisted. Some people just need their truth, like in like palatable, but they need the truth. But it's all in how we deliver it. No sugarcoating. That's right. Is calming, shuffling the cards and the noise they make. Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll talk more about that in part two and how many shuffles we do and all
and I
those.
and I just want to say about that. I learned that on Tarot Tube. Like I had been doing cards for a while, collecting decks and stuff, and I know somebody just said it in the right way at the right time, and I was just sort of like, oh yeah. Someone was like, I could just sit and shuffle for hours, and I was like,
That's
huh.
what I want to do. Yeah. And then they gave me permission.
Yeah, it just sort of gave me permission. I was like,
Shuffle.
gosh, it does feel good to do that. Like I think they were saying like it's a meditation for them. It was just incredibly relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, well, I better try that because
I
I could
will.
always use a new meditation tool.
Mhm. And it is. And it gave me permission, like some you will hear old wives' tales. That could be a whole nother subject matter that we take on. Old wives' tales. No, you can't shuffle it this many times. And no, you're not supposed to do it just mindlessly, blah, blah, blah. Like, but I
Don't
want,
you cut your deck like that. You cut the deck the wrong way. You're
yeah.
going to invite
You
the
should,
devil into the
yeah,
room.
yeah. Did you use the right hand? Was the get gifted to you? We could talk all about the old wives' tales that I totally ignored because I'm a rebel at heart. We could do
Oh, let's
that.
do
Yeah,
that. That
yeah.
is a fun show. Okay, we got to write that down so we don't
We got to
forget.
write that
That is a
down.
very fun show. We're going to do that.
Old wives tarot, like what tarot,
Busting
old
the
wives
myths.
tells. Yeah,
Busting the
busting
old
them
wives' tarots of cartomancy.
for real, because
Because,
they had
it's,
the other one spooked. Like what?
yeah.
I can shuffle. Yes, and so Donna R. Shuffling is part of the ritual for me, so an app would be difficult. Exactly. The app that I use, it does shuffle. If you have your earphones on or if your sound is up, it'll make a shuffling sound, but it's not as satisfying, nearly as satisfying as it is in your hand. Hey, Krista, Auntie K's Terrell,
Hey,
thank you for
Krista.
coming. We're
Nice to
happy
see
you're
ya.
here. We'd love to have you on if you're up for joining us for a future artistry of cartomancy. That would be amazing. Oh, Beth,
Totally.
before we wrap up, Beth says, did you move out of the area you used to live, like a different city? Oh, yeah. You might have already, I'm sure you covered this about
Yeah,
you.
I used to live in New York and now I live in Nova Scotia, Canada. So big move.
So I bet the air is fresh up there. Just seems like it would be in Canada. I don't know.
It is
Fresh
pretty nice.
air.
Pretty nice. Yeah.
For sure. Yay. I'm glad you've been with me a long time, friend. Thank you for being tuned in today. And yes, the old wives' tales. Let's have a ball with that one. That's going to be so after we do our part two of our ritual process, the nitty gritty of the cards, then we're going to get into our old wives' tales that we're going to bust some myths.
Hmm.
Or maybe there's some myths that are like, well, there's a reason that we should have that myth. Okay, fine. And she said, oh, please don't call it wives' tales. How about myths about tarot? You're right.
Okay. Good, good, good.
Fair enough. And I'm going to make sure I make
Fair
a note
point.
of that. I like that because you're right. I don't want, I've been dealing with a lot of misogyny lately, not in my home, my personal home, but just in around. It's kind of ticking me off. So I'm gonna make a note of that. Thank you, Bev. And she
How
says
about
she's up
busting out the myths? How about that? Busting
busting
out
out the
the
myth. Let me see, busting
cartomancy
out.
myths or whatever.
I like that because it's not
Busting out
just
the
tarot.
card myths.
Yeah, let me get my pen. Busting up the card myth. I like that.
Let me write that down too.
Mm-hmm. We'll make sure we stick to that because that's a good one. There's so many of them. If y'all think of any, put them in the comment section.
Comments, yeah, let us
Yeah,
know.
and I'm gonna be going through and checking and getting them because there's myths that you're like, I guess that makes sense, but I didn't do that. And so we want to navigate and try to unpack how it came to be a myth and why it's okay to like not deal with it. Most myths you can just kind of be like, oh. Tarot Mythbusters.
Tarot mythbusters.
That's what we're gonna be doing.
That's cool too.
I like that. It's almost I feel like there's a television show that was like Mythbusters or something like that. It could be Tarot Mythbusters or Cartomancy Mythbusters because we do all sorts of cartomancy systems here. But I feel like
Because
there was
I'm a big fan of the word cartomancy. So I aspire, I'm attempting to, when people now ask me what I do, to say I'm a cartomancer
yes,
and
I love
see where
it.
the conversation takes us from there. I am a cartomancer. I'm also an
And it's,
artist. I usually say first I'm an artist. That's sort of the
mhm.
safe little crack the door for people. I'm an
Yeah,
artist
mine
and
is
I'm also a
coach.
cartomancer.
Yeah. Yours is
Oracle's
artist.
a little heavy. If I say oracle to the average person on the street, that's a little much for people, but
And
cartomancy.
don't say Terrell. They're like, oh, Lord. Uh, you're
Some,
what?
depending on my context, sometimes I say I'm a metaphysician. See what they do
Like,
with that one too,
yeah,
which
I
that
like
is
to bust
true.
that one out. That's another video too. We keep that. That was like titles. Like, what's our titles, if you will? But yes, I love that. Beth says another myth is the silk wrap only, which I did satin one time, not silk. Mama couldn't afford silk, but the
Silk is so
gatekeeper's
slippery.
tales. Yeah, they
Gatekeeper.
are. They don't quite do what I needed to do, like velvet or what they call it, the velour or whatever. They don't quite do what it needs to do, the silk.
I like a
So,
nice cotton bag. I'm a cotton girl. Most of my bags are cotton.
and they
Yeah.
and they work quite well. So it's like, where did that come from? I almost want to research some of the myths if I could and give a little background. Like, well, it came from 1805, and like it's because this person, this
The
cardigan,
French.
yeah, the French, they believed in silk. There was silk trade, and I love history. I'm a history buff too, so there's that. I love that. The gatekeeper's tales. Gatekeeper's tales for sure, because that's basically what it boils down to is gatekeeping. Mythbusters used to recreate different scenarios to figure out if they were physically possible. That's right. Mythbusters. I did watch that show. That's right. It is an actual show. So that'll be the title. It'll be incorporated in that episode.
That
Dr.
has
Donna, the metaphysician.
that kind of has a nice ring to it, don't you think?
I think so. I think that's your new title. Dr. Donna, the metaphysician. Okay, you got an official title now. I open with a hotline psychic and judge their initial reaction, and I like to make them squirm too, Chris.
Yeah.
Too.
Good for you, Krista. That's
Good
awesome.
for you. It was once a pair of stockings that the woman bought from her home in Boston across the prairie and a covered wagon. Like that kind of story. Exactly. Like that. I want that kind of story where it was like some random story that everybody then made like, okay, this is what you got to do. But it turned out it was like harmless like that. The lady needed something to keep all her cards together with her stockings, traveling across the prairie.
I haven't
In a
heard, I
boat.
don't know if that's true or not. I've never heard that, but that's hysterical if it is.
But
Wow.
that's how I think they start these myths, right? So, anyways,
Yeah.
friends, thank you all so much for hanging out with
Yeah.
us. We
Thank
had
you
to
guys
do a
so
catch
much.
up.
So
Yes.
great. So nice to
Donna,
be back here, back. I feel back in the saddle now because of all of you. And
yes, you all are great. And Donna, you're fabulous. Thank you for spending this afternoon with me. And I can't wait for our series to resume.
All right. That's awesome.
All right, friends, take good care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye, everybody.